Let's take a look at some more secret things in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice that you don't want to miss, like more prayer beads or shops that let you buy special materials to upgrade your tools, but you can also upgrade a certain shop. Plus I wanted to touch on some mini bosses, and I also wanted to give you an update on that farm spot that we discussed in a previous video, because I got reached out by many people with an even better farm spot. So let's get into it. If you enjoyed that, then a like would be super appreciated, and let's go. Let's start with a pretty nice item that you can find really early in the game, but that you likely missed. This is an item that will restore a full resurrection node. So if you, for example, just revived yourself, then you can use this item to be able to revive again, because that node that you just used will be full again, and it will also make the black line that appears over these nodes disappear. So that is pretty nice, and again, you can already find it at the Ashina Outskirts Gate Path Idol, across the building, like to the left, and then look down, and then you will find a place to land. Do that, and then you can grab this bundled Jizzo statue. Let's move on to a special merchant that you first encounter at the Ashina Castle Gate, next to the door with like a few gunmen and the samurai mini boss. This guy wants you to clear all these samurai in the area, but I think that even if you don't do it, he will appear at the temple where you started the game after defeating Ganishiro. So yes, you can go kill all the enemies close by and then return to him, but either way, after visiting him, he should appear at the dilapidated temple, and you want that because he sells one of those gourd seeds for 2000 sen. That is of course totally worth buying. So get it and give it to Emma so you can carry another potion. It's always smart to check out the shops that you come across, because they will sometimes sell you these unique items, like the shop in front of the abandoned dungeon entrance idol that has a prayer bead for 1400 sen. Of course, buy that as well. I will touch on a way to upgrade one of the stores in the game in a second, but let's first take a look at another prayer bead location in the nearby area. You have to work for this one though, so you want to get back from the entrance of the dungeon to the ogre with the bell on his back, and then get back from the bridge and go to the Ashina Reservoir. We of course already discussed this in previous videos. So here you can get the loaded spear, and the mini boss is there as well that will get you also a prayer bead. But there's actually another mini boss in another area that you can actually reach, that you might have missed or just ignored, but that does give you a prayer bead as well. So just move all the way to the left via the branches upon entering this reservoir, and there you will see one guy that you can talk to, but no, you actually want to find this person that is down there, and then you see this mini boss like searching for you. You can talk with him, he will not really give a damn, but you can also attack him to get a sort of advantage, because then the fight will begin. You also have to take him out right now, because the area is blocked off after attacking him. Deflecting is really the key against this mini boss to break his posture, but move away from his sort of kicks and then attack when he recovers. I actually used the Shadow Rush skill a lot, and I gotta say, we of course discussed this in my farm spot video talking about the final 2 skill trees that you can find in Sekiro, where I was not really sure if I liked this skill, but after using it a lot, it really grew on me. This is of course the final skill in the Shinobi Arts skill tree, and really handy against bosses to charge to them and then jump up to them to be able to do some slashes. It will in most instances stun him while creating an opening for you to strike. And this is how I took out the first health bar of this lone shadow longsword man. And I mostly really used it to close the gap and come close after he was done with his kick attacks. But overall, deflect and use other attacks to close the gap like a tool, and then the chasing slash skill should work as well. And then you got the scrap magnetite and a prayer bead. I'm not sure if this enemy is already there before you defeat Ganishiro, but you can of course always check. For the next item, we want to go to the Senpou Temple Mountain Kongo idol, so the first idol in this region. So that's the one you used for the farm spot we talked about in my previous video. So you want to go past these monks in the more open area and then grapple inside the building, because then you will normally get into a pretty crowded area with a ton of monks that are kneeling around an item, and totally try and grab that, because that is another one of those seeds that you again of course want to use. But this one is not that hard to miss, because you will pass through this area while exploring the full region. Something that might be easy to miss or actually complete is also near this Senpou Temple Mountain Kongo idol. Here's namely a sad ogre who is asking you to bring him a flower, and there are actually multiple outcomes, but I want to focus on one because that's the best one. So find this guy really next to the idol by going up the mountain again, past the monk on the broken bridge, that you can of course kill if you want, and then move up to find this sad guy. So you will see that you need to find a spinning red or white or pure white flower for him. And you can find that near the Shugendo idol, so that is the second idol in this region. So the first idol you will encounter after the Senpou temple one. There are a lot of rats in this area, and by the way, a shop nearby as well. You can reach that by going the other way and jumping on the wood on the side of the mountain. This one doesn't have a prayer bead or a seed, but still some nice purses that you can buy to secure some money before fighting a boss. And he sells some crafting items as well, so totally nice to get. If we go up the other way, so past these annoying rats, you will at one point be able to grapple up and reach the area where you will have to fight the armored knight to get to the temple grounds idol. But before entering this building, if you actually go left, you will find this mountain with one of the flowers that the ogre wants. So totally go and get this red-white flower. You can find the white only flower a little later on by following the path down and making your way to another idol that you can actually already reach pretty early in the game. Careful here for some enemies, and then jump between the walls to get higher up, and then on your right hand side, and then you will find the pure white flower. But you also want to open this temple to get this demon bell idol, if you don't have that one already. First, totally go get the heavy coin purse for the nice 500 coins, and then open the door. There's a crawling enemy inside, so be careful for that. And then go outside to reach this idol. This one is next to a bell that is very interesting because when you ring it, it will increase the difficulty of enemies but make them drop more items as well. So I want to take a more in-depth look at this demon bell in the future, but for now it is interesting to at least have this idol. Now let's return to the sad ogre because you want to give him the red and white flower because the white one rewards you with way less interesting stuff than the red-white one. So then you can actually send him to the peddler back at the outskirts wall stairway idol, and this is one of the first shops that you encountered that first sells you information for Sen and then later has some wares for you as well. Well, now thanks to you sending this big guy over, he will have an upgraded inventory, like he's now selling bulging coin purses with 1000 Sen inside, but more importantly, he's selling 2 additional upgrade materials like scrap magnetite and the yellow gunpowder to help you get those prosthetic tool upgrades. So again, pretty nice indeed. Totally go and send this guy over if you haven't already. Then let's touch on some more optional mini bosses in the Senpou Temple region. So we already touched a little bit on the armored knight. You have to kill that one in order to advance. But there are also optional bosses, like one of those big crawling ones, in a building to the right from the temple ground path. So if you go to the left when climbing up the mountain, you get to the main hall idol, but to the right you will see a ton of wolves there, and in the end a boss inside a building. You first want to clear all these smaller crawling enemies in this area by simply jumping onto them, and then I think it's smart to run away until you do not see the health bar from the mini boss anymore, because then when you go back into the building you will not be alerted, so they can already start the fight with an advantage by jumping onto this mini boss from higher up. The oil flame vent tool tactic works here really well, so throw oil in his face, and then when he's close and you have time to cast this tool, then totally do it to stun him and have his posture not recover. And overall you want to deflect all the attacks to build up his posture, and then jump when he does his red icon attack. Another mini boss that I want to touch on is actually near that new farm spot that we will talk about in a second. So this mini boss is near the Sunken Valley idol that we already discussed in previous videos, where you need to dodge all the incoming bullets while making your way to the Gunfort idol. So there is actually a guy that is chilling in front of this awesome stone structure that looks like a regular enemy, but it's actually a mini boss that is not that hard to take out. You want to namely use the Sabimaru tool to make sure that he gets poisoned, so he takes a lot of damage and then you can easily attack. So don't start with rapid slashes from this tool and parry when needed, and then immediately attack again, because then he will in the end get the effect and be stunned as well. Now we will already have a ton of posture damage, so you can easily break that. The main thing is that you want to be super aggressive, but get away from him as well to dodge his very powerful grab attack. I used the Shadow Rush skill here as well and approached him when he had to reload, and then you will be able to take him out. And if you, by the way, don't have the Sabimaru tool yet, then totally go and get it, because it will be super handy in future fights against other enemies as well. I will link to that all tools video where I tell you how to get it at the end of this video. But first, that updated farm spot, because many people reached out about this after my recent farm spot video and actually agreed that this one at the Gunfort Idol is really handy as well. So what you want to do is turn 180 degrees after going to this idol and then sneak up to the gunner. That will already get you 297 XP. And now you immediately want to run away. Like, sure, you can go and rest at the idol and kill that guy at the beginning of this level over and over again, but it's actually way smarter to go down here and move all the way back and then look at the alerted icons from the enemies, and when they disappear, you want to go up again. Because now you're able to sneak up to the other gunner in this room, and also the enemy that stands higher up can be taken out with a stealth attack as well. Now you want to make your way through the tunnel and kill the easy enemy that is there to alert everyone. And then you can also kill another gunner that is like staring in the distance. This can all be done in 1 minute and get you a ton of XP. It also gives you some nice upgrade materials, so totally worth grinding. I want to take a look at more end game farm spots in a future video. And I want to look at ways to make farming more sufficient and way more. So totally subscribe for way more Sekiro Shadows Die Twice content. Like the video to support channel. You can check out my previous video on all the tools in the game and where to find them. And for now, I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.